Hello, Mordarim here. Today with a leveling guide for my Zoo Shredder Druid that utilizes all companion abilities and Shred to bring a petting zoo right to your enemy's doorstep. As always, to make a build function in the most basic form, we need to solve 5 problems: AoE, single target, spirit generation, defenses and mobility. This guide tackles all of those, providing you with a leveling experience full of tiny critters ripping apart your enemies. First, take note of the written explanations for terms used in this guide in the top left corner. Pause the video and read through those to get a good grasp on how stuff works if you have no prior knowledge about it. Now, a bit about the build. It's based on the active companion abilities unlocked at level 13. All 3 of them are exceptionally strong and will be responsible for the bulk of your damage, with most of the kit being tailored around utilizing that fact. Next, let's jump right into the skill tree. We are going to start with Storm Strike at level 2 as our main spirit generator, as well as a great support ability to apply and maintain vulnerability on enemies. It also provides us with a strong damage reduction buff whenever we deal damage to a foe. This is a major benefit given we are always going to be up close and personal. Next, we are going to grab Shred, Enhanced Shred and Primal Shred to gain access to a bit of mobility and a way to spend our spirit. This ability works with 3 stages, which we will be utilizing with the Keystone passive later. Pick up 1 point in Predatory Instinct for a bit of crit and 2 points in Digital Gate for a movement speed buff. Earthen Bulwark is our choice for the defensive slot, with Enhanced Bulwark providing us with an easy access to Unstoppable. Next, we are going to pick up every companion ability at level 13, 14 and 15. Grab Enhanced Poison Creeper and Ferocious Poison Creeper afterwards. The latter will increase the active ability damage by 150% since we are increasing the poison duration from 2 seconds to 5 seconds. Next, grab Enhanced Wolves, which synergizes well with the Poison Creeper poison, increasing the damage we deal with this ability by another 20%. Enhanced Raven is next, with Ferocious Raven giving us access to a strong tool to apply vulnerability at any range in a small area for 3 seconds. Call of the Wild is the next node we want to put points into for a 30% increase to the active damage of our companions. Oldest Bony will result in a lot of multiplicative damage modifiers buffing each other, so we can put out a lot of damage. Now put 2 additional points into each companion ability. We don't want to max them out yet, because the skill damage is increased by 10% of the skill base damage, resulting in diminishing returns the higher we go. There are just better choices right now. Next, pick up 1 point in Quick Shift and 3 in Natural Fortitude for some free fortify whenever we cycle between Storm Strike and Shred. We are still missing 1 point in Digital Gate, so pick that one up. At this point we gain access to the Keystones, none of which buff our companions. So here is why we picked up Shred before. Lupine Ferocity makes every 6th Werewolf skill a critical hit and buffs its damage by 60%. This is a multiplier to the damage of the 3rd hit basically. We are only ever going to use Shred, which has 3 stages. The 6th hit of the Keystone should always land on the 3rd Shred, which deals the most damage and deals increased critical hit damage due to Primal Shred, which we picked up earlier. This should put you at level 35. To ensure maximum pain for our enemies, we are going to max out all our remaining damaging abilities. Put 4 more points into Shred and 2 more points into each of the companion abilities. Ancestral Fortitude is next for some much needed defenses, since we only picked up damage at this point. We are going to flesh out the build with the last points by finishing up Predatory Instinct and Earthen Bulwark by grabbing the Preserving node. Pick up 1 point in Neurotoxins for a slow, and Envenom for 30% increased critical damage versus poisoned enemies. This pairs nicely with the Keystone and Shred. Poison is regularly applied by Poison Creeper vines, which emerge every 7 seconds to poison for 6 seconds, which is great for bosses. We finish up the build with 1 point in Heart of the Wild and 3 points in Wild Impulses, resulting in 15% more damage for Shred. The increased spirit cost should be offset with additional intelligence and spirit cost reduction by now. With the tree covered, let's go over the spirit boons while leveling. This feature should become available at level 15 by finishing a quest chain. The deer will offer you access to wariness, which reduces the damage you take from your leads. This one is not much, but the other options are even more lackluster. Eagle lets us grab Scythe Talons, which increases our critical strike chance by 5%. This pairs nicely with all the critical damage increases we get access to through the skill tree and gear. The Wolf provides us with Pack Leader, a strong lucky hit proc on critical strikes, which has a 20% chance to reset all cooldowns on companion abilities. And the Snake lets us grab Masochistic, which is a way to heal by critting with Shred, our only shapeshift ability. The Druid class can further pick a second boon for 1 animal aspect. For this we are going to grab 30% additional crit strike damage with Avian Wrath. Next up, legendary powers. Each one can be acquired by completing a dungeon or story quest, which lets us imprint them on gear at the lowest possible roll. None of them are really needed to make the build function, but they will boost your power considerably. A disclaimer first, avoid putting aspects on your weapon. You're going to exchange it quite regularly because of the damage scaling with your weapon base damage, so you don't want to fall behind on that one. The first aspect we want to grab is Aspect of the Mending Stone. This one will extend the duration of Earthen Bulwark and its unstoppable buff by 6 seconds, and refill the barrier by killing enemies. A very strong defensive aspect that can be acquired in the sealed archives in the Dry Steppes. We are lacking defenses, so this one is perfect for us. The previous aspect can be comboed with the Ghostwalker aspect, which increases the movement speed while you have Unstoppable and after losing the buff for 4 seconds. You also ignore unit collision while benefiting from the aspect, which is great since we are melee. This one also lets you enjoy a movement speed buff nearly permanently. You can unlock this one by completing the campaign in Skosglen. Both aspects are very strong and should be picked up as soon as possible. Shepherd's aspect is next. This one increases damage of shred for each active companion. This one is based around them, resulting in a sizable increase to our damage. You can obtain this one by completing the Blood-Soaked Cracked in the Dry Steppes. The aspect of Retaliation increases the damage your core skill deals based on the fortified percentage you have. This is very strong once you get your fortified generators up and running. You should grab this one around level 35 and it can be unlocked in the Seaside Descent in the Dry Steppes. The last two aspects can only be found but are exceptionally strong for this build. The first is Aspect of the Stampede, giving you access to another companion and buffing all companion damage you deal. This is very strong for the wolf ability, but the other abilities also benefit from it. And the Aspect of the Alpha changes all of those precious dogs to werewolves, increasing the damage output immensely. So look out for those and throw them onto your ring first and gloves second. As for gems, use emeralds for 12% increased critical strike damage versus vulnerable targets in your weapon, skulls for more armor in the jewelry, and rubies for percentage health in your armor. And lastly, the stats you want to look out for. Disclaimer, more armor and weapon damage is almost always worth sacrificing some stats for. However, gaining access to a good item with the right stats can go a long way towards keeping it relevant for longer. Intelligence, willpower and dexterity are all great and very useful to us. Prioritize intelligence for more spirit generation and dexterity for more crit strike chance. As for the other stats, go for crit strike chance, movement speed, cooldown reduction, core skill levels, companion ability levels, spirit cost reduction and health on your armor. Cooldown reduction can only roll on helmets and amulets, and movement speed as well as spirit cost reduction can only roll on your boots and amulets, so keep an eye out for those. As for damage improving mods, go for crit strike damage, vulnerable damage, damage versus elite, close and healthy enemies, damage with core skills and attack speed. Now this sums up my leveling guide for the Zoo Shredder Druid build in Diablo IV. I will go into more depth on release with an endgame build guide including the Paragon board. Make sure to join my Discord channel for links to different builds, additional resources like cheat sheets and some company in the cruel world of Sanctuary. If you want more of the juicy content, make sure to like, sub and comment. And if you want to support me some more, make sure to check out my Patreon, PayPal and channel membership. See you next time and bye!